Good evening to all of you. Since social factor is very essential in the development of curriculum, we will discuss tonight the sociological dimensions of curriculum development. Several forces are at work during the process of curriculum development. Probably, the most powerful is the national economy, because schools are challenged constantly to meet the workforce demands of a changing world. The world of the 21st century will be technologically advanced world, and the workplace will require more education than ever before. Modern careers require skills that are more technologically complex and also more interactive. Successful workers in the modern world must possess both an understanding of electronic technology and the ability to work cooperatively with others to solve problems of a highly intricate nature. The curriculum must change to meet these demands. Currently, we are in the difficult situation facing the reality that education is facing challenges due to coronavirus 2019. Schools have changed their methods of learning and also introduced new curricular reforms. There are social realities that affect the curriculum. If there is any factor that is so powerful in effecting change, it is none other than education. Considering the impact of influencing it has on the minds of students, there should be an effective channel of government, trust, and programs. Educational changes in China have unique Chinese characteristics. The term Chinese style is neutral, embracing the experiences of both successes and failures. There is a need to examine it dialectically and connect the educational changes to the larger socio-economic landscape. It is challenging to identify particular factors which lead to the educational transformation in China. They are in fact intertwined and present as a paradox. The term organized anarchy perhaps encapsulates how the political dynamics work in practice. There are two prominent threads of the global, local, and decentralized, centralized continuum throughout the whole process of educational change. The two dimensions are much like two sides of the same coin and unfold the internal and external logic of the political dynamics of educational changes. The analysis of three features of educational changes will, it is believed, enrich our understanding of political dynamics in China. Let us first discuss the government-dominated educational change. The fact that education in China is not neutral but rather is fundamentally political in nature highlights the importance of dealing with the relationship between education and the state. A crucial requirement is to address the role of the state in educational changes in the context of globalization. Although the power of the modern state is being challenged by international or multinational entities, it does not necessarily mean a weakened or decentralized state. Research evidence in South American countries shows the success or failure of the centralization and weakness of the state are both positive and negative effects of the process of decentralization. The key issue, therefore, is not to enhance or reduce the role of the state, but to identify which aspects need to be enhanced or weakened in practice. The educational reform in China has been characterized by decentralized centralism. During the process of restructuring, the role of the government has shown signs of some changes. in which some powers of the government are decentralized, while others are centralized. The government remains powerful in leading educational changes and takes an active role in meeting the challenges. Educational transformation is thus government-dominated within the context of rebuilding the state and globalization. Another social issue in education is the incremental coherent educational change. An in-depth study was conducted focusing on the fundamental changes in China's social, political, and economic life. They identified 8 pillars as the foundation and drivers of China's new society: emancipation of mind, balancing top-down and bottom-up, framing the forest and letting the trees grow, crossing the river by feeling the stones, artistic and intellectual ferment, joining the world, freedom and fairness, and from Olympic medals to Nobel Prizes. These authors argued that the expression crossing the river by feeling the stones mirrors the pattern of the reform in China. This also represents the pattern of educational change in China: incremental changes rather than radical changes takes place. The educational changes follow this path, epitomized in the process of plan, pilot, implement, reflect, and revise. The transformation concentrates not only on certain unique aspects of education, but also on the systematic and coherent promotion of mutual reinforcement and interaction within the government and between governments and communities. The ultimate purpose of the educational changes is to contribute to economic development, social cohesion, and the holistic development of students. Given the complexity and dynamics of educational change processes, all contributing factors should be considered. And the next social forces that affect the curriculum development is balance in educational change. A critical review of the educational changes over the past 30 years indicates that Chinese policymakers have adopted a balanced and moderate approach, aiming to keep a balance between globalization and localization, centralization and decentralization, top-down and bottom-up, equity-oriented and quality-oriented approaches. However, the term balance has a profound meaning in the context of educational transformation. It reflects China's ambition in addressing education quality, equality, and social justice, reducing urban, rural, and regional disparities. Educational change is not an event, but a process involving complex political dynamics of numerous systems, institutions, levels, and activities. In curriculum development, the social phenomena must be taken into consideration without forgetting that the individual must maintain his identity and individuality. The curriculum must assist the individual to understand the process of harmonization and to develop a repertoire of behaviors that will serve in a broad range of situations such as compassion, understanding, sensitivity, awareness, affection, acceptance, initiative, and inquiry. The curriculum must foment a reasonable conformity to social norms and standards without going against individual expression. There must be choice up to a point. Another social force that impacts curriculum development is the women's movement. As women gained a new level of confidence in themselves During the 1960s and 1970s, they entered the workforce in large numbers, though their salaries were often unequal to those of their male counterparts. In spite of the fact that most professions have attracted more women into their ranks, careers are by and large still gender-oriented. The curriculum has clearly not met the needs of the female population as they attempt to enter traditionally male professions. As a result, a significant human resource remains underutilized in our society. As society changes, so do the boundaries of acceptable behavior, and no one questions the influence of student and family behavior on the curriculum of the schools. Curriculum is formal, informal, and hidden. Informal curriculum is most affected by the behavior of people in schools, and it is a curriculum that is deteriorating in many cases. Standards of acceptable behavior for adults, educators, parents, and adults in general, and students have declined, and the result has been a code of ethics too confusing for most young people to understand, let alone internalize. Many families have become fragmented, in some cases, forcing children to try and construct their own set of values. Many students demonstrate a lack of self-discipline that has in turn had a less than desirable effect on their behavior at school. Although the formal curriculum may have to change to meet these students' needs more adequately, it is the informal curriculum, including that of the family and the surrounding community, that will have to be strengthened if violence and disciplinary problems in the schools are to be reduced. Other social factors include the financial burden and changes in the student population have made it more challenging than ever for educators to develop curriculum appropriate for all students. The responsibility cannot, however, simply be laid at the feet of teachers and administrators. Clearly, there is a much larger sphere of influence encompassing the family, the community, the media, the national economy, and the changing international scene that brings an unprecedented variety of learners to the schoolhouse door each day, and consequently, an unprecedented demand for curriculum development as well. The guidelines to social considerations in curriculum development will be presented in the next slides.